back up for you. Until then, we'll continue to keep you updated with the scores. So just the 1 over done right now, and there's Typhoons 5 without loss. Alana Dalzell to take the new ball from the Dublin end, and well, they've gone with a catcher in front of the bat, which is I think a good move. She takes the ball away from the right-hander, and the ball sticking in the wicket a little bit today so far. So they were watching the Dragons. They were watching the game this morning.
Yeah, it looks like Cara Murray's taken that position up there. We've seen her take a couple of good catches in the Super Series. Just evades her there.
Yeah, Kate McAvoy doing the fielding there. Can't quite get up quickly enough to stop the second. So Alana Dalzell needs to pull her length back if she's going to have that catcher in there.
Yeah, and also good to see they've a fairly short mid-wicket in. So attacking from the outset here, the Dragons. Big game for them after a good win last week. They'll want to follow up on that performance with another good display today. Let's see how the Typhoons bounce back from their earlier defeat today. It was a good game this morning. As I said, Scorchers posted a very competitive total. Typhoons never really got going, did they, Izzy?
No, they never got going. They never seemed on top. They seemed in it for a while, but never on top. And the difference between the teams was that the Scorchers had those runs on the board. They knew that they could just go for dots and force the Typhoons to push the issue. So many catches late on in the innings. Apart from Ellie McGee bowling to people, it was almost entirely catches that dismissed the Typhoons.
I think the catches is also an area that we saw this morning. One team held more catches than the other. Now, there were missed opportunities for both teams, but certainly the Scorchers held on to most of the chances that went their way.
Absolutely, it was crucial in the end. Marianne Masonda was the highest scorer of the day by a long way, 71 from 69 for her, but she should have been gone on a number of occasions. And that is Louise Little, who's gone this time. Has a big heave-ho and can't get hold of it. She heard the death rattle, her head dropped to the ground, and Typhoons lose their first early on. She goes for 1. Typhoons 8 without loss.
Yeah, fairly straight delivery it looked like from Dalzell. Just played a missed totally. Great start for the Dragons. That's what they'll want to have seen. One of the opening batters turning and walking back to the pavilion. It's a long walk back to the pavilion from that crease. Bringing Mary Waldron out to the crease now. Dalzell just coming in. Oh, it looks like an inside edge onto the stumps there, maybe.
Just didn't get her foot across. Louise Little tried to go leg side when it probably should have been an offside shot. She goes for 1 from 8, and Mary Waldron comes in at 3. She was bowled by Ellie McGee, a Yorker length delivery in the first game, where she tried to hit it down the ground and played over the top of the ball. She looked good up until that point. Actually looked the most assured coming out to the crease, because it's not the easiest surface to play on, especially when you first come in.
Yeah, and I'd say probably thinking to herself she's out there a little bit earlier than she would have liked this afternoon. But we know Mary Waldron is a very good cricketer, clever cricketer. So saw some invention in her batting this morning, some reverse sweeps.
Well, I laugh at you saying she wouldn't want to be out this early, because Mary wants to face all 120 deliveries, I can tell you that. So she's very clever, late cut, uses the pace and runs it down the hill. Very good. That's the end that it does run away quite well. Doesn't quite make it. Well chased down by Arlene Kelly. And a couple to close out the second over. Typhoons 10 for 1.
Yeah, off the mark straight away there with a lovely shot down to third. And she's quick between the wickets. So 2 to Mary Waldron off her first delivery.
Well, Robin Searle, you spoke about who needs to anchor the innings, and I think that that's probably her role. Good technical player. It's been in South African team, was in the squad that went to the 50 over World Cup in New Zealand, and a very adept 50 over player. So they've put her up top to try and bat through, I would think. Mary Waldron also very good at batting through an innings, but they might tell her she can be a bit more attacking. Physically probably the strongest in the team as well, so she's someone who'll try and hit boundaries. So Arlene Kelly goes for Robin Searle, has a fine leg on the boundary and a deep cow. 4-5 field. So just the 4 fielders on the offside, it means she has to bowl very, very tight lines.
Yeah, although this the offside at the moment is probably the slower of the two. As you said, ball tends to run away a little bit quicker on the leg side. So that's maybe why they've given a little bit more protection to Arlene Kelly on that side. Still that short mid-wicket in there.
Well, Robin Searle also has a trigger movement. She kind of ends up standing, I would say, almost outside off stump. So trying to hit it into the leg side. And, I mean, that offside field, it's even sparser than it looked for Ava Canning because they have a third in place. So just, they kind of have a point cover and, they kind of have fielders in between positions and just the 3 in front of point.
Maybe trying to encourage her also to go over the top. That ball played out to Leopold there at point. And he's trying to create, I suppose, a bit of pressure on the Typhoons here. They know that they need to post a good total. We'd seen the match earlier on today. And they know that the pressure will be on them to make sure that they're up at par, which is certainly going to be about 120, we think.
Played down to third, and Molly Devine does really well again. Well, I just think that Robin Searle is caught between 2 plans here. She's going across looking like she wants to play it into the leg side, but Arlene Kelly is following her and bowling outside off. Maybe she just stood still and used the width. There are loads of gaps on the offside. Maybe keep it a little bit simpler.
And again, played into that short mid-wicket. No single there to Cara Murray. Yeah, I'd say she's feeling the pressure now, maybe with that early wicket having gone down. No Rebecca Stokel, as you said, in the team this afternoon. That onus will be on her to anchor the innings for the Typhoons.
Lifts it, chance taken, too easy. Aoife Fisher, well done, moves back. Not the toughest chance, but in fact it was Jess May's, apologies, who took that catch. It was never there to hit from Robin Searle. She felt the pressure, all those dots adding up. They added up to her dismissal.
Yeah, just no real conviction there in that shot. And maybe it was that pressure of a couple of dot deliveries, knowing that an early wicket had fallen, as we had spoken about, but really caught between 2 minds there as to how to play that, and spooned up an easy chance and well taken. Back of the hand from Arlene Kelly. Simple as you like catch sees Robin Searle depart for just 4 runs from 10 deliveries.
So Typhoons lose their second wicket. They're 10 for 2 after 3. Sarah Forbes joins Mary Waldron at the crease, and we said it was a big day for the Typhoons. They could stamp their authority on the Evoke Super 20 trophy, and it's just not gone that well today. I have to say, they started off the bowling innings in the first game very well. They just didn't recognise the situation they were in, I think, when they had the Scorchers under pressure, and they let that game drift, and it drifted all the way to them losing it. And now this game, well, it's started how they finished the last one, with wickets tumbling. Landa Dalzell now again from the Dublin end. Mary Waldron facing up.
Wide delivery there, almost tempting Mary Waldron to come onto her back foot and across, but it was outside the bat. Yeah, I think it's interesting because as we started off the day, Typhoons 2 from 2, and we kind of thought, well, they got a win or two here today. They're almost out of reach in the competition. It's just a couple of deliveries in that game earlier that turned the game for the Scorchers. A couple of boundaries were hit, and I think that was the difference between the two teams, was that capitalising on those loose deliveries. Missing the opportunities in the field. Of course, we've mentioned that there were a couple of dropped catches, and gave a player of the like of Miriam Masunda the quality that she has, the ability to bat through and score a very welcome 71 not out for her team.
What do you think? Do you think maybe she hits the ball a bit harder? What is it that made 5 catches go down off her batting?
Well, it was interesting because when we were talking to her in the interview at the end of the game for player of the match, we asked about how is she finding the conditions here in Ireland compared to Zimbabwe, and you know, the first thing that she said was she's used to quicker wickets and the ball coming onto her a lot quicker than it has been so far here in Ireland. So she was talking about how she's had to adjust her game and almost wait for that ball to come onto the bat. But I think just the quality of her technique and her ability to pierce the field today was very impressive.
Well, I've only played once in Zimbabwe, and I can tell you it was an incredibly sticky wicket. So maybe she's playing somewhere else. I'm not sure.
You can interview her next time,
yeah, that's it. I'll ask her all the tough questions. No, she's got some serious power. I think that's the thing that sets her apart as well. Her placement, which is completely true. She seems to pace her innings well. She is very strong off both the front and the back foot, and you know that's a big point of difference as well. Picks the length really nicely. Short from Dalzell, flashed at and down. Chance went up. Arlene Kelly spills it in third. The Dragons, well, they've taken the first 2 wickets easily enough, and they almost had the third. Will they live to regret that? Mary Waldron survives on 2, and the Typhoons were almost 10 for 3.
Yeah, hands to her head there. She knew that was a big opportunity and a dangerous player at the wicket. And as we said, following on from some missed opportunities this morning, we're looking to put that behind her.
Well, I'm interested to hear what you think after that's the end of the 4th over, and the Typhoons are 11 for 2. Arlene Kelly, I don't think fields in that position very often. Do you think that has much of a bearing on how well people catch in certain positions, how much they've fielded there?
You'd imagine that the players of the quality that we have playing in this competition, would that make a difference? But you do become a creature of habit. I was always tended to be in the covers, and ended up on the boundary last week in my club game, and kind of didn't really know what to do with myself out there. So I suppose maybe we are slight creatures of habit, but you'd expect catches to be taken.
Yeah, I have some sympathy for her, I have to say. Like, if you're not used to fielding again with a certain bowler bowling, and you're not used to the position, the ball moves very differently with different shots. So, for example, don't put me in mid-off, because I wouldn't have a breeze what to do. Anyway, Arlene Kelly with her third over. Well set field. Mary Waldron calls Sarah Forbes through, and that was almost a case of yes, no, sorry. Really poor awareness from the veteran, really.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if that ball had gone to the bowler's end, whether it would have been a slightly closer call. It's imperative now that they don't lose another wicket.
Mary Waldron goes for the ramp, calls through by Sarah Forbes, and Mays goes to the wrong end.
I wonder as well, Izzy, we were talking about earlier on, that the actual setting of this ground, it's absolutely stunning. But again, the ball is coming out of, there's a lot of trees, a lot of greenery around, there's a bit of cloud cover. It's quite hazy actually this afternoon. Whether that had any influence on that missed opportunity.
Well, I think any high catches are very difficult to take here, 100%. Probing away, the Dragons absolutely probing away. The Typhoons look like they want to attack, but also are very fearful of losing any wickets.
Yeah, it's been a superb start for the Dragons, having 12 for 2, with 2 very dangerous batters back in the pavilion. And as I said, they were impressive last week in their first victory of the competition. And again, just Sarah Forbes unable to get it past Cara Murray there at short mid-wicket. So again, this is another tight over here for the Dragons. Again, this pressure now will just keep building on the Typhoons.
Something that stands out to me as well at the moment is each of the teams have a top class wicketkeeper, which means they're all standing up to the stumps. Edged and down through the gloves of Amy Hunter, say it, and you're made look like a fool. No, I think that was a very thick edge, so no chance really for Amy Hunter, and that's the only problem with standing up to the stumps. You don't take the chances.
Yeah, but it's always playing in the mind of you as a batter that you can't really attack. You can't come out of that crease unless you're fully convinced and you're going to follow through with the shot, because you know that you've got a good keeper behind the stumps. And if you miss, we saw a good stumping earlier on today where that was the exact thing that happened to Lulu Little.
Well, what I was going to say is all the wicketkeepers are very good, so they keep the batters honest. It wasn't too honest from Mary Waldron, but 5 overs gone and the Typhoons really struggling now. Just 13 runs to their total and 2 of their batters already back in the pavilion. So 1 over left of the power play. Dalzell will bowl it, so just the 2 bowlers used inside it. They've both bowled with great control. Kelly bowling in toward the right-hander and Dalzell taking the ball away.
Yeah, I think it's good to continue with the opening partnership. They've got the Typhoons in a spot of bother. They've picked up those wickets, and why not continue to put them under that pressure? Obviously the last over here of the power play.
Especially since it's 2 new batters at the crease, so they can't really line them up, only in. Mary Waldron in for 9 deliveries now and Forbes for 4. It's Forbes that will face up to Dalzell.
Outside edge there. I'm just looking at the field placements as well. They've only seemed to have 1 out, which is out of deep extra cover. So Dragons are really trying to turn the screws here on the Typhoons.
Death by dot balls.
That's the pressure then that it brings, especially in this shorter format of the game. You're always conscious of the scoreboard and run rates per over. And I don't think the Typhoons will be feeling too comfortable at the moment.
Forbes trying to turn it into the leg side for a single, but the Dragons have set a very tight field. They're saying to the Typhoons, if you want to score runs, you're going to have to hit it over us. You're going to have to do something different.
Yeah, I like to see that though. I like to see that aggression in the field, or that aggressive field placement, to try and really say to the Typhoons, right, you want to take us on, you're going to have to go over us.
Well, it just looks at the moment like Sarah Forbes is not quite sure how she's going to get off strike, barring a poor delivery from Dalzell.
Yeah, you can even watch the Dragons as the bowler is coming into bowl. Everybody is in that inner circle. They're not even standing really on that circle. They're a couple of yards inside that. So they really are putting immense pressure on the batters. Just see Mary Waldron's gone down to have a chat there with her batting partner. Really telling her not to worry, don't do anything rash.
Ooh, extra bounce from Dalzell. Well, I think this is the kind of cricket that we've been missing in Ireland. Certainly when I was playing and up until the last couple of years. High level bowling and consistently through an innings where your top batters are struggling, so they've got to figure it out in the middle. You're not going to get the poor delivery, you're not going to get it like a load of wides. You've got to find a way through. So Sarah Forbes, while she's struggling here, she'll learn from it. Lifts it over the leg side. She's decided she can't wait any longer. Reaches the rope. So the challenge was set to Forbes and she's passed it so far.
Yeah, I think that's also the premise of this competition and the evolution of these 3 squads. It's to create more competitive cricket. Just watch this again. It's Sarah Forbes. A couple of dot deliveries. Maybe Mary Waldron told her that's what she needed to do when she went down to have a chat with her. But the whole thought process behind the Super Series is to try and play more competitive cricket. It's only going to lift the quality of the game around the country.
Good comeback from Dalzell. Good length. Forbes looked to lift it over leg side, but found it thumping into her pad. That's the power play done and dusted. Typhoons, well, it's been a struggle. 17 for 2. I say thank you to Ciara O'Brien and welcome back. A sun-kissed Craig Senior.
Well, and sun-kissed indeed. It's a glorious afternoon here. There's the Typhoons card so far. Louise Little not getting many with the bat again, but Mary Waldron and Forbes now, and they'll be rebuilding. And they'll be looking to put together a decent base. And there's the bowling figures. One success for Kelly and Dalzell. 1 wicket each. 1 for 5 for Eileen Kelly. 1 for 10 for Dalzell. Kate McAvoy is down on the card. And she'll be bowling from the Wicklow end now. And Mary Waldron will be facing her. So, 10 runs on the board after 3 overs for the 3rd inning in a row.
It's got to be some kind of record. Nicely waited for by Mary Waldron. Leopold dives to save at least a 2, if not a 4. I think they'll be happy to see a change of bowling. Arlene Kelly not quite as quick as Kate McAvoy, so maybe the extra pace will be the difference. But they're going to keep piling the pressure onto Sarah Forbes here because cover is coming in, and they're saying you've got to continue to attack. She did hit a boundary in the last over, but still hasn't quite got going in this innings.
Yes, I thought it was a very interesting point. Yourself and Ciara were discussing there about this being a step between club cricket and international cricket. Sort of the best in Ireland playing against each other. It may have taken a while to come together, but it certainly seems to be paying dividends. I notice it mostly in the club game now, when players returning from the Super Series playing for their clubs, their expectations are higher.
You're completely correct. I fully agree. I was just going to ask you about, you've watched a lot of men's cricket. I know you commentate on a lot of men's cricket in Pembroke in particular. The way that they have to go about their innings in terms of taking on the bowling, it's not really something that you have to do in women's cricket until you get into international stages. Something that the girls are having to learn out here now at Super Series level, which is great to see. Kate McAvoy just not quite getting her lines right here yet.
Well, despite Kate McAvoy bowling a couple of wides, yes, this interprovincial level series, the Super Series, the Evoke Super Series, to give it its correct name, is very good at providing situations whereby batsmen can't wait for the 5th bowler because they know it's going to be easy runs or whatever. They've got to take runs off every bowler, and that's what happens at international level as well.
So Sarah Forbes being forced to find a way, but not finding it yet. So both batters, well, Mary Waldron on 50% strike rate, Sarah Forbes well below that now. She leaned on her bat after that delivery, and it feels like she's going to have to stick her twist pretty much this over.
Well, you get the feeling from her body language that that's what she's feeling herself. She's feeling that frustration.
Full delivery missed out on by Forbes. It's a tough learning curve when you get to this level, and cricket's one of those sports where all eyes are on you when you're doing your skill. I always think it's quite a tough one when it's not your day. Usually the ball's in your hand and you've gone for a lot of boundaries and you've got to get the ball back again. It's a tough place to be.
Well, I know of no other sport whereby, as you say, the spotlight is on you absolutely when you're performing, whether it's as a batter or as a bowler, keeper. That spotlight just shines right down on it. It really is 11 individual battles, and the result of which is one war.
Very well put. It's two good friends here battling it out in the middle. Kate McAvoy and Sarah Forbes both play for YMCA in Dublin. Unless she's lost this battle, Sarah Forbes Well, she struggled, but only because the Dragons' bowling has been absolutely fantastic so far. Looked for the big heave-ho, and McAvoy found the way through her defences, through her swing. She goes for 5, Typhoons 20 for 3.
Well, as you're quite right to say, it wasn't really much of a defence. It was a swing of the bat, and it seemed to be a swing of frustration. She'd scored a 4 off the final ball of the previous over, and she obviously felt the need to risk everything in the hope of getting another one. But this time, McAvoy, she's found her length, and she's got that one to come back in and hit the top and middle. Well, that's a super delivery. It was exactly what was needed. And Forbes, well, she now makes her way up the steps.
Wouldn't this be a great time for an experienced Rebecca Stokell to be coming out, striding out to the crease? But unfortunately, she's only allowed to play the one match today for the Typhoons, coming back from injury. So it's Georgia Atkinson, the overseas player from Rush. She came in at a very tough spot in the first game. Was caught by Marianne Masanda and bowled by Mecca Mahan. And went for a naught from 4 deliveries. Being elevated in this innings, 3 spaces up to number 5. So good opportunity for her. She's 13 overs. What would you be telling her if you were Mary Waldron now, Craig?
Give me the strike, I think. That would be my phrase. Let a player weigh in, picking up. Ideally, she wants to be scoring at 100 and take a single every time she faces, and get Mary as much as a strike as possible until she feels she's gained a knowledge of the bowling, of the pitch, of even the outfield.
So Cara Murray to replace Alana Dalzell from the Dublin end, the leg spinner. Scored a century for her club up North Warringstown this week. First female player to score one for the club, so well done to her. She's batted well so far this season. More known for her leg spin and sharp catches in the field, but she's no mug with the bat either. She's picked up where Alana Dalzell left off. She does have a long off, so singles on offer and long off cover mid-wicket and square leg. No one operating in mid-wicket, saving the single.
Well, Cara Murray's done well with the ball in this series so far. One of the reasons why the Dragons are doing so well this year.
Beautiful strike from Georgia Atkinson. Was wide and floated, but Bella Armstrong, she's a real athlete, another overseas player, cut that down to 1.
Well, the impact of the overseas players is strong, but it's raising the level of the game overall, I think, certainly in the Super Series.
Flatter moved into the leg side. Mary Waldron and George Atkinson quite clearly looking to build a platform, turn the strike over.
Well, as you can see from the shadows on the pitch now, the sun blazing away. It's a lovely day here in Oak Hill. Great day for cricket.
Full toss and bunted into the leg side by Atkinson. Wasn't willing to take on the 2 fielders in the deep.
And in this, the 8th over, that possibly is the right decision. The last thing that they need is another wicket down.
I think you've always got to have a plan for a leg spinner's full toss, don't you? Before the over starts. And you have to have a plan for the short one as well, but it's wide, so she doesn't have to play a shot.
Well, one more onto the total. Well, run rate not really too high at the moment, but again, after the first game today.
Big full toss, and Mary Waldron hits it with power. Dealt with well by Jess Mays. And it's good return throw. So 8 overs gone. Typhoons 26 for 3.
Well, it's not a run rate that will be scaring the Dragons at the moment, but it is a base film to start from, and with 12 overs remaining, they're going to need to move that on a bit. It's not going to be any surprise to see Kate McAvoy coming back again. She took 1 for 3 in her first over. She's doing a great job for her captain.
A really important innings this for Mary Waldron for the Typhoons. She's the senior player in the team, always trying to push her way up the batting order for the Ireland 11. And if Kate McAvoy is bowled well, the only issue is that radar. Bowled a lot of wides so far.
Yes, I think she's only conceded 1 from the bat. I think the other 2, or the other 3 now, are wides. But she showed in the first over she bowled that once she gets line and length right, she causes problems.
Short on a thick edge, but the third man, Molly Devine, closes it off easily.
Yeah, the Typhoons seem to struggle a bit with this slightly longer than usual grass in the outfield. It feels that they'd be scoring a lot more runs if the ball was running across the outfield. They've hit some nice shots and received only singles for them.
So Scorchers currently on the top of the table, 3 wins for them from 5. After today there will be 2 more fixtures. Next Sunday, Woodvale Road, Eglinton, 2 p.m, Dragons against the Typhoons. So if you're from the area, do join us for that one. And then the Typhoons closing out right back here in Oak Hill against the Scorchers. Nicely timed through the offside. I mean, for the competition's sake, it would probably be good for the Typhoons to win this match. They'd be 3 from 4. Hopefully send it down to a final-like fixture in the final game on the 5th of June. That's the one between the Typhoons and the Scorchers.
It would be great for the competition if that was a series decider.
Full toss, bunted over mid-wicket. Well directed by Mary Waldron. She didn't overhit it. She picked her spot. And a rare loose delivery from the Dragons is sent for 4.
Well, that will add some impetus to the run rate. You see here Waldron onto this full toss very quickly. And as you say, didn't try to overhit it. Just knew where the space was. Bunted it out there. 4 more onto the total.
It's prompted a change in the field. Fine leg comes up into the ring, mid-wicket onto the boundary. It's a risky business because Mary Waldron does like to play ramps and sweeps, but for the seam bowling of Kate McAvoy, it's probably the better of the 2 options. Played into the ground. Atkinson, quick off the mark.
Fine fielding by Leopold. But they were safely home for the single. Yeah, Mary Waldron has an aptitude and a mindset whereby she can manufacture runs around no matter which ball is bowled at her. And she was quickly onto the full toss, and then when one pitched up, she just dropped it out in the offside and knew that there was a safe single there.
Atkinson steers it into the leg side for a single to close out the 9th over. Typhoons moving on to 36 for 3. Run rate creeping up towards 4. And with 11 overs remaining, I think they've got to be looking and thinking, right, let's get over 100. That's what they've got to think first. Then see how far beyond 100 you can get, and give yourself something to bowl at rather than going hell for leather now and ending up below that 100 mark.
Yeah, there'd be nothing worse than seeing them running down the track against the bowling at the moment, losing 4 or 5 wickets and going into the last 6-7 overs with only 1 or 2, 3 wickets in hand. They surely are learning the lesson from their first game when they were chasing down a big total. They've decided to bat first this time. They'll be looking to set the Dragons a challenge in total.
So Cara Murray continues from the Dublin end. Starts off with a full toss and Atkinson steers it leg side. I think that shot really tells you how Atkinson's planning on going about her innings here today.
Yeah, just pushed it into the leg side. There must have been a temptation to swing everything with long levers at it, but that would have had a far higher risk level.
Much better. From the leg spinner, good dip, bit of turn, classical delivery.
It has to be one of the most fascinating passages in players watching leg spinners bowl.
Full toss and swept away from Mary Waldron, and a misfield in the deep gives her another boundary to her name. She probably tried to attack that a little bit too much, Jess Mays. She's fielded really well actually up until now. Took a catch early on. Misjudged that one slightly. Flatter reverse paddle from Mary Waldron, uses the extra pace. It's like she knew what was coming. Back-to-back boundaries.
Well, again, that's the innovation that Mary Waldron has. Plenty of experience there. And the trick to it is how late she switched her hands. Gave the bowler no indication of what she was going to do. Far too often you see batsmen leaping around to change hands.
Big appeal, but Aidan Seaver, easy decision for him.
I think even Cara Murray got halfway through her appeal. Just finished it for completion's sake rather than an actual appeal. Sliding down leg.
Good comeback to that over from Cara Murray, but a fruitful one for the Typhoons. Half their over is done and they're 45 for 3.
Well, as you say, Izzy, halfway through the innings, those 3 wickets down. Well, certainly going better for the Typhoons in this innings than it did in their game against the Scorchers. And maybe from this platform with 7 wickets in hand, they feel that they can push on a bit from here.
These two have done well since coming together. Absolutely worked the ball around. Mary Waldron in particular has put anything that's been up away. A bit of innovation as well, so it's not taken anything too big to push them along. That run rate now 4.5. It's climbing steadily. And we're going to have a change in bowling. Leah Paul with her left arm orthodox from the Wicklow end. Leg side and helped backward of square. A loose one to start from Paul, and the Typhoons get yet another boundary to their name.
Well, Atkinson would be delighted with that. It gets her well underway now. Swivered onto that one very quickly as it drifted down leg. A free hit for her. She made sure it reached the boundary. This one a bit straighter from Paul, but again played out on the leg side. And they take the single.
Well, usually you get the spinners on in the middle overs to put a stranglehold on the innings, but it's really been what the Typhoons have needed to get going. They've been more comfortable. Bunted leg side again from Waldron. no fielder in, and a rash throw from Leah Paul with no real chance to run Waldron out. She's lucky that the backing up was good.
Yep, she'll be thankful to her teammate there. And now I think one of the Dragons players tying the shoelaces together of the batsman. Slight delay in play.
Full toss and steered leg side again from Atkinson. I think she probably is into her innings well enough by now that she should be placing that in between the two fielders on the leg side. There's lots of real estate between the deep cow and deep square leg for at least a 2, if not a boundary.
Yes, the 3 fielders she has on the leg side are very evenly spaced, but they are covering a huge amount of ground. It's either unfortunate or misdirected if you manage to find one of the fielders out there.
Shorter and well bowled. Good change up from Paul. A dot to finish the 11th over. Typhoons 52 for 3.
I think Leah Paul, she'll be thinking that she got away with a couple in that over. She hadn't found the line and length. Her stock ball not quite coming off for her. There was a couple down the leg side.
Well, I think that the problem for her is she's not sure what a stock ball is. It's so important for any bowler to get into their spell straight away in T20 cricket. She just gave away a little bit of pressure there with that boundary off the first ball, and as you say, if the other couple of looser ones had been punished, then she would have been whipping herself back out of the attack very quickly. She'll be able to give herself another over off the back of that one. Cara Marie is going to continue from the Dublin end. Full toss again. It's probably the most inconsistent I've seen her this year, Cara Marie. She's one of the more controlled leg spinners on the circuit. Well, that's well bowled. That length is where she needs to be, because that is not a ball to go back to, but it also wasn't very full. So Mary Waldron caught between coming forward and going back, which is just what Cara Marie wants. Missed out. Mary Waldron will be very disappointed with that. An area of real strength for her.
Well, she does like to go square of the wicket, and if the ball's being delivered to her there, you expect to see her at least paddle it around the corner, if not go for the big shot. And Murray with what one would say is a mixed bag of an over. She's getting away with it generally.
Goes to that sweep, can only find the fielder in 45, Dalzell. She's lightning in the field. Great movement from her. So a very tidy over so far from the leg spinner. And closes out with a dot. Just the one from the over, 12 gone, and Typhoons 53 for 3.
Well, there are 12 overs gone, 8 remaining. That's ordinarily the sort of time that commentators start talking about doubling the score in the final 8. Well, the Typhoons will want to be doing that and a bit more if they're to set a challenging target for the Dragons. Leah Paul will continue from the Wicklow end now, and Waldron and Atkinson, well, when will they start to take more risks? When will they try and use longer levers and try and get this scoreboard moving? 4.42 so far.
Played leg side. Kate McAvoy comes around, but a little fumble means it's an easy single. I'm interested to see when the fifth bowler is used, because just the four have been used. No, sorry, we have had five. It's Kate McAvoy. Well, whether they'll bring Molly Devine into the attack. Both some leg spin and off spin, depending on how she's feeling. So I'd love to see her being given a bowl. A sweep again from Mary Waldron. Doesn't look like the easiest track to sweep on.
No, and I think part of that is the slightly variable bounce that this early season wicket has, is you have to be extremely confident that you are going to cover any bounce that's coming. And at the moment, Waldron's just sweeping it round to the field that's set.
Short right side off. Waldron turns the strike over again. We're probably beyond the stage where they should just be turning the strike over, you'd imagine.
Yeah, they need to be looking for around 6 and over from here, and if that's involving taking their big hits for sixes or taking 6 singles, it doesn't matter. They just need to get this board ticking over.
It's a bit of innovation. Turns around, helps it on its way backward of square. So she wants to get her innings going, and another 4 to her total.
Well, on that occasion, it was just down-legged a little too much. She got round and just swept it through the gap between 2 fielders. 1 out and 1 in the ring. It was just perfectly placed. 4 more onto the total.
I have to say, I think this field is wrong for Atkinson. She's almost entirely played on the leg side. No, I don't think a third man is needed. Maybe put in another, put that fielder backward in square, but put in a mid-wicket. Extra bounce, excellently bowled from Paul. 13 overs gone. And the Typhoons moving along. They're at 59 for 3.
Well, as we enter the later stages of this innings now, the Typhoons, well, they must have a score in mind that they want to reach, and a score in mind that they might reach. Welcome back to the box, Kira.
Thanks, Craig. I was just finding some shade there. It's very warm this afternoon. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we go here. 59 on the board with 13 overs gone. I mean, they've got to be trying to get to 110, you'd imagine.
Now, Cara Murray with her last over. No batsman really got after her as yet.
No, we've seen them trying to create those opportunities. Mary Waldron's trying to sweep almost to beat that short fine leg, but not really giving much away here, the Dragons. It's just helped on its way around the corner. That should run away for another boundary. That's 4 more, 4 to George Atkinson there.
Oh, it runs away for 4 more and keeps running, reaching the top of the hill, rolling away. On this occasion you can see Atkinson sees it again, and although she's cramped for room, she manages to swing her arms and sends it down to the boundary, and that's a much needed 4 for the Typhoons.
Yeah, just stepped across her stumps there to give her that room to play that ball past the short fine leg. That's a wide delivery down the leg side. They'll look to try and run 2 on this. Ball's picked up and returned. That's well run there by the Typhoons. So a wide delivery, a bit loose there from Cara Murray. But good running between the wickets allowed Typhoons to come back for a second.
We apologise for the not up-to-date banner across the bottom. That's being worked on. But the score now, I can tell you, is 67 for 3.
They built a good partnership here, this pair. Mary Waldron's on 25 not out, and Atkinson on 21 not out. That's full. That's punished. That's found the gap really nicely there on the leg side. two fielders, one deep square and one deep mid-wicket, but that ball just piercing through the gap between the two of them to bring the second boundary of the over.
You see here, Murray coming in. Once she saw it was full, Atkinson was all over it, and this time she's parried it away with enough strength and enough direction to bisect the two fielders. And suddenly the score just creeping up.
Yeah, they've capitalised in this over. A couple of boundaries. Short, just sat up there, punched away to the covers for a single. Score moves on to 71. 72, apologies.
Oh, another full one. Full delivery from Murray. Another one played round to the leg side. Another one that goes for a single. And all that in one ball. Well,
Brings to the end of the 14th over. Score is 73 for 3. Both batters are well in and established at this stage, both on 26 not out. That's good over there for the Typhoons.
well, it would have somewhat changed the figures for Cara Murray. We'll see those figures again when we bring the bowling card up later. But at the moment, 6 overs remaining. And the Typhoons, well, as Izzy said earlier on, their first target must be 100. And then it's how many more than that can they get?
Yeah, as you'd imagine now with 6 overs to go, we just see the ticker tape is up to date there, so it's showing 73 for 3 or 14 overs. 6 overs to go. They've got to be looking at least another 40 runs, I would have thought, Craig, onto this total.
Well, that's what they're going to be looking for. That would take them up to just over 110.
Change of bowling there from the Wicklow end. We've Jess Mays has come into the attack.
Bowler number 6 for the Dragons today.
Played nicely by Mary Waldron into the covers there, but just the single from it. Yeah, I think as yourself and Izzy were talking about earlier on in the commentary, whether that's 6 singles you take each over or whether you try and hit out. I think the next 6 overs, it's important that they rotate the strike between the two batters out there. They're both well set at this stage.
Well, they're both well set and they're both capable. They've got to 26 and 27 respectively. Atkinson going at a slightly faster pace than Waldron, but Waldron, she's taken on the role of shepherding this Typhoons innings.
It's been a great recovery here for the Typhoons. They were 20 for 3, remember, in the end of the 7th over.
That's a lovely shot.
Spooned away towards deep square leg, but falls short of Alana Dalzell out there. Yeah, they've this partnership, as I said, they were struggling at 20 for 3 and wondered what they would put on the board, but these two have really shown their class.
Well, they've gone past the half-century partnership and they'll be hoping to continue all the way to the end.
Chopped away towards point there, and Leopold swooping in to prevent any single. Yeah, it's important that at least one of them, I think, stays there till the end, Craig. One of them maybe will be allowed to hit with a little bit more freedom in the last 5 overs.
Or it could be that they've had a chat and both of them have the freedom to hit out now, but if somebody gets out, then the other one has to make sure they're there at the end.
Short outside the off again from Mays. That's again allowed Mary Waldron to pick up an easy single out to deep cover. It's the end of the 15th over. Just see the scorecard there for the Typhoons. 2 early wickets Lulu Little going for just one, bowled by Alana Dalzell. Robin Searle scored 4 of 10 balls today. She was caught off the bowling of Arlene Kelly. And Sarah Forbes was bowled by Kate McAvoy for just 5 on the board. But there we can see Mary Waldron on 28 not out off 39 balls. And ably assisted by Georgia Atkinson, who's 27 off just 19 balls.
Well, as you can see there, the main partnership is between Waldron and Atkinson, and they're both out there now. They've put on 56, and this is an unbroken partnership. And as you can see, 20 for 3, well represented by those first 3 partnerships.
You see Leopold bringing herself back into the attack from the Dublin end. Yeah, we thought following the flurry of late wickets in the earlier game that the Typhoons started in the same fashion, but credit to Mary Waldron and Georgia Atkinson, they both batted very well and put themselves and their team into a good position now with 5 overs to go.
What I do like is that they're taking the runs on offer. They're not over-committing themselves to shots. They're not, because they came together at 20 for 3 and there was an element of rebuilding. They've been quite circumspect in taking their runs and in the shots they're playing.
Yeah, I think they're content as they keep rotating that strike between the two of them. Just see a little bit of invention tried there. George Atkinson looking to reverse paddle that almost. But I think it's a case of trying to wait maybe for the looser deliveries. Now Leopold's a good operator, but we saw in the last over a couple of loose deliveries were punished and put away for boundaries, and that's the opportunity that the Typhoons have to take.
That's a very good ball. Atkinson wasn't sure whether she could turn on that or not. She was going to get squared up as she did, and it wasn't far enough down the leg side for her to pick up. So ends up as being a dot ball, and a good dot ball for Paul.
And again tries that shot again, but finds the space over point. Down to third and runs away for a boundary. That's a useful 4 runs there.
Very inventive shot, perhaps a bit more aerial than she wanted, but it got down to the boundary. There we go.
We saw her try it there a couple of deliveries ago. Very effective. Knew that the space was in behind. Third is up on the edge of the circle, so knew that the space was behind her really. It takes the pressure off then for the rest of the over to have that one boundary in your pocket. And takes another single there. Out to deep cover again. Atkinson moves on to 32 from just 22 deliveries. Very useful innings this for her team.
Well, that's exactly the impetus that her team requires. And Waldron again, she's standing tall for her team.
Mary Waldron gets down to sweep almost on one knee there. Out to deep square leg for just the single. She's a good sweeper of the ball. Likes to sweep. Brings to the end of the 16th over. The score on 83 for 3.
Well, these two bats are going about it slightly different ways. Atkinson has definitely taken on the role of aggressor. And Mary Waldron, she's picking up her runs, but with a slightly more cautious. She's quite happy to pick up the single and give Atkinson the strike if she needs to.
I think it's a good tactic if you've got somebody at the other end who is being inventive and who is scoring those boundaries. And Mary Waldron is content to keep that strike rotating. It's also important from their perspective that they keep the Dragons' bowling attack guessing. Could be 2 is the call from Atkinson, but just the single from it. Jess Mays is continuing from the Wicklow end.
Atkinson calling for 2 on that one, or at least to look for 2, and that's indicative of the attitude now.
That's hit hard and straight back down the ground. That should be a boundary. I think you can save your legs, Georgia Atkinson. That's Another 4 brings her onto 36. There's a good shot straight back down the ground.
Well, Atkinson striking at 150. Shots like this, these two have put in the hard work. They've earned their place in the middle. They've stayed there long enough that now they have the freedom, seeing the ball a bit bigger perhaps.
Look to go leg side on that one as well. It seemed to keep it a bit low. Atkinson definitely looks to be the one who's taking the impetus here in the innings for these last couple of overs here for the Typhoons, trying to get them to as competitive a total as possible. We saw Scorcher scored 121 in the earlier game today. 3.5 overs here to go. It's played fine, but it's well fielded by Kate McAvoy. Down low to her right hand side.
Well, plenty of support from her teammates when she made that stop.
Been a little bit quieter in the field the last couple of overs. Dragons got off to an absolute flyer with those 3 early wickets. But as we've said, this partnership has tilted the favour towards the Typhoons at this point. It's another good shot straight back down the ground from Mary Waldron. That should just be the single.
The thing now for these bats is not to get frustrated with hitting them out to the boundary and only getting a single. It's just to recognise that they've got a single off the ball.
Yeah, we're just looking at the field placements. We've got a deep square leg, a deep cow corner, and deep mid on. Oh, and a deep mid off. So really protecting those boundaries. That's a no ball. That's wide, high. Dispatch the boundary, 1 bounce for 4. Of course, will be a free hit, no ball called by umpire Willie Clark.
Well, that was high, wide and handsome. Let's see how quickly she sees where it is, keeps her head still, keeps her eye on the ball, and that allows her to make that clean contact, and that's 1 bounce 4. And as the umpire signal no ball, and Willie Clark signals free hit, it'd be interesting to see which part of the ground she aims at here.
I think she's eyeing up cow corner there. Yeah, hit hard out towards deep square, deep cow corner boundary, but just the single from it, but of course free hit.
Well, it may only look like a single, but 6 runs came off that 1 ball. And that's a big help for the Typhoons. They're very close to 100 now, 96 for 3. And these two have put on 76.
Yeah, very useful partnership there. We see Arlene Kelly still has 1 over to go. She was very economical, 1 for 5 from her 3 overs so far today. Alana Dalzell also has 1 over remaining. She was 1 for 10 of her 3. Leah Paul has 1 over to go. She has the ball in hand.
Manhattan looks a bit up and down, doesn't it? Very reflective of how this innings has gone.
So Leah Paul to bowl out her allocation overs from the Dublin end. Georgia Atkinson on strike and seeing the ball well. She's on 42 of 28 deliveries. Happy to play that into square leg. Picked up a single, a little bit lackadaisical in the field, and an overthrow, but just a single coming from that. Mary Waldron back on strike. Comes down the track and looks to sweep, but just a single again. Out to deep square leg. Edging ever closer to that 100 mark, Craig.
Well, we said it was their target from early on, and then to push on from there. The question is how many balls they'll have left once they do reach 100.
It's a big hit. That's very well taken. Arlene Kelly there. That's a super catch. It was hit hard out to deep cow corner, dipping on her slightly and got her hands under that to take a very good catch.
Well, that was a super catch. We've seen a few go down in that area of the ground today, but on this occasion, my goodness, it's steady base, hands out in front of her. You see here.
Yeah, I thought it just dipped on her slightly towards the end as it got to her, but a very comfortable catch in the end. Not much of a celebration, has to be said.
No, no team huddle. They decided to stay where they are. That close to the end of the innings now. Just 2.5 overs to go, but that's an important wicket for them.
Yeah, it's very well batted there by Georgia Atkinson. She scored very, very useful 43 of just 30 deliveries. And herself and Mary Waldron have put on a very, very useful partnership of 78. Remember, the Typhoons were 20 for 3. Now edging closer to that 100, so they're 98 for 4 with 2.5 overs to go.
Well, I don't think anybody will say anything to Atkinson apart from well done. They really have taken the Typhoons onto a defendable sort of total. They'll be looking to push it on past 100 now. And it's Ava Canning who's come to the middle.
Interesting change of field placement there for Ava Canning. So there's nobody deep fine or deep square leg. We've got a short mid wicket in place. Rocks back onto her back foot, just plays it away to point, but no run there.
You can even see from where we are in the innings, from the fact that having played that shot out towards the fielder, Ava Canning was already ready for a call if one had come.
And again, a bit of extra bounce on that one from Leopold.
Well, this is very good bowling. A wicket and then 2 dots. That's exactly the sort of break that the Dragons would want to apply.
Yeah, and just change of field placement again there for the last ball of the over. That short mid wicket's come out. Almost giving her the space maybe to take that single. Probably rather keep Mary Waldron off strike for these last 2 overs. But a very, very good end to Leopold's spell there. Score is on 98 for 4 with 2 overs to go.
The question now is how much further the Typhoons can push on. Mary Waldron facing. She'll be keen to get after this for the remaining 12 balls. And perhaps get up to 110, 115.
Yeah, I'd say the 2 remaining bowlers for the Dragons here might have something to say about that. As we said, Arlene Kelly was very, very economical in her first 3 overs, just 1 for 5. She has the ball in hand now to finish out her spell. You'd imagine it'll be Alana Dalzell from the Dublin end to bowl the last over of the innings. Again, very economical in her first 3 overs. And we've got deep square and deep mid-wicket and deep cow corner. And a deep cover, so boundaries well protected here.
Well, Mary Waldron immediately taking advantage of that big gap on the leg side. And the boundary riders are there are singles inside. I don't think singles are going to worry the Dragons too much. They want to stop any boundaries now and stop that score just leaping by 10, 20.
Yeah, just that wicket there has just pegged the Typhoons back. You seem to be saying that they're edging towards 100 for last over or 2. There we go. That single will bring up the 100 though. That's Ava Canning gets off the mark. Brings up the 100 for the Typhoons. Yeah, I think they'll be happy to see them taking singles, to be honest.
Well, in the first game, the Scorchers got to 120. We felt that maybe they were let get too many. I think this is around a par score for this pitch today. The question now is how many more can the Typhoons get?
Mary Waldron goes back over the bowler's head, but just picks up the single from it. Didn't really get hold of all of that.
You could see what Waldron was trying to do. looking for that shot straight back over the bowler's head to the sight screen. But on this outfield, once it landed, it just hopped up and not hopped forward.
Ava Canning follows suit. Gets more on that one. Hits it hard and hits it with conviction for a useful boundary in this penultimate over.
Well, showing Mary Waldron how to play that shot, really. She kept it a bit lower. And that way it skidded off the grass, beat the fielder, and ran under the sight screen. And 4 more onto the total, and they're most welcome runs.
Again goes out towards cow corner, and it's well taken. That's Ava Canning trying to go high over to cow corner. Well taken by Bella Armstrong out there.
Well, pursuit of runs causes another wicket to fall. You could tell what she was looking for, but on this occasion she managed to find Bella Armstrong patrolling that boundary. She had plenty of time to get herself set. She did, and took a fine catch.
Yeah, the fielding's been good in this second game. Arlene Kelly be delighted to pick up that second wicket. I think she knew as she hit it, it was going to find the safe pair of hands of Bella Armstrong out there. Brings to the end Ava Canning's innings, just the 5 coming from 5 deliveries, but throwing everything at it, Craig, in the last couple of overs to try and get as many runs on the board as you'd expect with wickets in hand.
Yep, 6 wickets in hands now, and 8 balls remaining. Well, I don't think they're going to get bowled out, so there is a certain latitude and freedom for the new bat, Georgina Dempsey, and Mary Waldron, who has played the anchor role for this innings almost perfectly.
Oh, beaten outside edge there. That's the end of the 19th over. Importantly, Mary Waldron will be on strike for the first ball of the last over, which we assume is going to be Alana Dalzell to bowl. So Arlene Kelly finishes with figures of 2 for 12 of her 4 overs.
Well, 2 for 12 or 4 overs are the sort of figures anyone would be pleased to take, whether it be in a T20 or 50 over game. Sure, if it was a 50 over game, you'd be looking at your captain and asking why you're taking me off. But in this T20, they're just short spells.
So pressure on Alana Dalzell now to follow suit and to try and limit the amount of runs that Mary Waldron and the Typhoons are going to try and score in these last 6 deliveries of the first innings. It's down the track, but just finds the ball out to deep square. Well picked up by Jess Mays and returned to the keeper there.
And there's the importance of good fielding. Jess Mays doing a good job there out on the boundary, kept them to 1, and that means that it's Dempsey on strike and not the established Waldron, and that could be a difference when it comes to the end of the over.
Yeah, and they've just brought Jess Mays now up to square leg, so trying to keep Georgina Dempsey on strike. It's well bowled by Dalzell.
Well, Dalzell had read the script. A lovely ball just on the off stick, and it could only be defended back down the track.
I think there is space there to pick up a single, but maybe just need to take the pace off it a little bit more. You can see that offside field, they're pretty much on the ring. Leg side, there's only really the short fine leg and a square leg, traditional square leg, so there is the possibility of a drop and run. That's hit over the covers, moving away towards the boundary, won't quite get there. It's well covered by Bella Armstrong. That's 2 more runs to the total. It's well hit by Georgina Dempsey.
Well, that was good covering by Bella Armstrong. Never gave up on that one and got there in time. Stopped it crossing the boundary, and 2 more runs saved.
Again, comes down, tries to be inventive. Off the pad to short third, but they come through to the single, so it will bring Mary Waldron back on strike. The score is now 108 for 5. Takes the pace off that one. Mary Waldron hits that straight back down the ground, and it is going to beat the fielder there. So that's 4 runs to Mary Waldron. Beat Cara Murray there at mid-off. Raced away to the boundary. She waited on that, Mary Waldron, and hit it hard and straight down the ground. Found the gap.
Well, that's experience for you. Waldron not rushing just because it's the last over.
And tries to have a bit of a heave at that last ball. Misses it completely, but they finish up on 110 for 5. Mary Waldron on 37 not out of 48 deliveries. Played a very useful innings for her team there. So the Dragons will be chasing 1-1-1. They'll be chasing Nelson to win this second game in the Evoke Super 20 series. 113 for 5, apologies. They're chasing 1-1-4 to win. We go into the innings break. Join us again in a couple of minutes' time for that Dragons run chase, with 113 posted by the Typhoons in the first innings, so 114 required.
Welcome back to Oak Hill for the second of two T20s here in the Evoke Super 20 Trophy. Typhoons won the toss earlier and elected to bat. Early on it looked like a difficult decision as they were 20 for 3, but then came together. Georgia Atkinson with Mary Waldron, they put on a great fourth wicket partnership. Bella Armstrong eventually top scoring with 43 from 30. Mary Waldron 40 from 49. So they managed to help their team to a total of 113 for 5. Ava Canning opening the bowling and opens with a wide for the Typhoons from the Dublin end, and she's bowling at Bella Armstrong and Amy Hunter. Bella Armstrong, one of the overseas internationals, and we're just having a little problem with our graphics at the moment, so bear with us. Good lift, good comeback. I'm Isabel Joyce and joined by Ciara O'Brien. This is a decent total. It should be a good tight match.
Yeah, it should be. As you said, Typhoons got off to the best of starts. They were 20 for 3. But then that fourth wicket partnership, very impressive from Mary Waldron and Georgia Atkinson, taking them to a very healthy 113, probably about par for this afternoon. It's hit straight. Oh, it's put down by Robin Searle at mid-wicket. Short delivery from Ava Canning.
Plenty of chances have gone down today. It was a sharp chance, but Robin Searle has a great pair of hands and she'll be very disappointed to have spilled that early opportunity.
Yeah, they'd be looking for an early breakthrough here.
How often do we see it? A chance goes down and immediately, it doesn't go for 4. Good work from Freya Sargent in the deep, keeps it to 2. But a looser delivery so often follows when a chance goes down.
Yeah, you just wonder whether that dropped catch or that missed opportunity was playing in her mind as she came up to bowl that next delivery there. Yeah, as you said, 113 on the board. I think you'd be happy coming out to bowl with the pressure on the Dragons to chase.
Well, I think you'd be coming out thinking you've a chance, but you're not necessarily favourites. It's probably about 50-50, and that's what I suppose par means, isn't it?
But we have seen a flurry of wickets today in both games.
In the air, and it finds the gap. My goodness. The luck is with Bella Armstrong. Well, she's an overseas international, but she's the luck of the Irish today.
Yeah, just falling short there mid-off. Just popped up on her slightly.
I wonder, I was just thinking the look of the Irish. Marianne Masonda was the one who survived 5 chances earlier. Maybe it's the look of the non-Irish then. Short and clubbed, but Ava Canning manages to cut it off. So it's been an interesting over so far. A real boxing match between these two.
Yeah, a bit of all sorts in this first over here. Missed opportunity, almost opportunity. And then Ava Canning did well there to get her hand on that one as it was hit firmly back towards her.
And a good one to close out the over. So 1 over gone, and the Dragons 3 without loss in pursuit of 114 and in pursuit of their second win of the Evoke Super 20 Trophy. Just to keep you up to date on where we're at in the competition, Scorchers won this morning against the Typhoons in the first game today down in Oak Hill. That makes them 3 wins out of 5. They have 1 bonus point. Sorry, 2 bonus points, so they're on 12. Is that right? 11. And the Typhoons have 2 wins with 2 bonus points.
Yeah, it was a big game this morning between Typhoons and Scorchers. Typhoons would have been looking to win that to maintain their unbeaten run, but Scorchers really needed the victory after 2 defeats last week. And it was certainly, Marianne Masonda said in her post-match interview that they really wanted to work on just playing in a really positive fashion, which they did this morning.
Georgina Dempsey a little bit wide on her opening delivery from the Wicklow end, but gets away with it. Amy Hunter gets her first look at this rather slow Oak Hill wicket today. It does look like it's sped up a little bit since this morning. The sun splitting the stones down here in Wicklow in Oak Hill Cricket Club. So if you are thinking of coming down for the afternoon, bring your sun cream.
Played fine down to third there, but just a single coming from it. Yeah, it's interesting now to see how the table will shape up at the end of today's play. Obviously, Typhoons will be looking to reverse that defeat this morning to pick up their third win. That would be 3 from 4 for them. There's 2 more games to come in the series. Dragons really need to win to try and have any chance of winning the competition. So all to play for this afternoon. Wide there from Georgina Dempsey. Bella Armstrong watches it through to Mary Waldron.
Well, if the Dragons can win today and then win their final match, they'll be 3 from 6, and then the Typhoons will need to beat the Scorchers to make sure they don't win outright, and then it's 3 points apiece, and it will come down to who gets the bonus points in those final games. Yeah, Typhoons, though, can put it past everyone a little bit by winning today, and then they've got 2 bites of the apple in the final 2 matches.
Yeah, those bonus points are coming into play on the run rate, so it shows that there is, I suppose, the benefit of going after these run chases and going hard if you can, trying to put the game beyond doubt as quickly as possible to improve that net run rate position and pick up those what could be very valuable bonus points.
Just a little bit wayward. It's a long day for the Typhoons. Each team will have almost a home day. It was the Dragons in Lisburn a couple of weeks ago, Scorchers in Marion last week, and then the Typhoons here today. And each team, unless the Typhoons can win this, will have lost both of their home fixtures on the days that they are playing 2 matches. So whether fatigue comes into play, we're not sure. Inside edge, Bella Armstrong looked to send that high and over the bowler's head, but inside edge flashes past the stumps.
Yeah, and it's certainly been the warmest day so far, Izzy, of what we've seen of this summer so far. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come. So that'll also play on the players' minds. They've been out in the field for 2 games in testing enough conditions.
It's definitely, I think, the hottest in the ground where we are, because we're sheltered from the wind. If you're on the Wicklow end, there's quite the breeze coming through. A wider delivery again. Amy Hunter misses out. As we see the end of the second over. We'll catch up on our graphics on your screen shortly, but for now it's 6 without loss.
Yeah, good tight start there from the Typhoons bowlers. Just 6 runs coming from the first 2 overs. Be the start that they will have wanted. Dragons under pressure, knowing that they need a run rate of 6 and over now to take them to that target of 114. So a good tight start, just 3 runs per over coming from it, so 6 without loss. Ava Canning to continue.
Well, they've been wayward. There's no 2 ways about it, these 2. When it's been on the money, on the stumps, they've done well, but they may live to regret these wides. The Typhoons opening bowlers, as we said, it's been a long day, but they are the first to get a look at this new ball and need to be on the money for the Typhoons to get their win today. Shorter and bunted into the leg side. 2 fielders in the deep on the boundary on that side because of Ava Canning's movement in towards the right-hander.
Yeah, we've seen that offside field is pretty much on the circle. We've got a short cover in there looking to capitalise on any opportunities. We've seen 1 chance go down to short mid-wicket so far. We've seen 1 almost chance to mid-off. So trying to keep that pressure on to bring those opportunities to take that what would be the first wicket.
Played fine. No fielder in 45, so lots of work to do in third man. Julie McNally comes around and cleans up well.
Yeah, there are certainly gaps here, Izzy, aren't there, for singles. That's one area of the ground where there's no field placement. So maybe square the wicket.
Well, they have a third man in, and really, for what she's bowling, she should have a 45, but it just shows she's worried about the one that doesn't swing. That's the one there. So needs a third man. Can't afford to bowl without it, so has to go without a fine leg instead.
Yeah, hit slightly uppish, but one bounce to the fielder there. Sure, the Typhoons were delighted to get to 113 given the start that they had today.
It shows you the value of occupying the crease. George Atkinson was quite slow to start, was quite clearly just looking to turn the strike over, and caught up late on, ended up with very healthy 43 off 30, and really for the first 20 or 25 deliveries, the first 20 deliveries wasn't made uncomfortable at all, just rotated the strike. Packed offside field, and Hunter can't find a way through.
Yeah, I think that's, as you say, it shows the value of knowing when to hang around and just get stuck in, wait for those bad deliveries or those looser deliveries to come. And so she played the supporting role really to Mary Waldron initially, but then overtook her in terms of strike rate and was a very, very useful fourth wicket partnership.
Good close to the third over, and would you believe it? Wait till Craig Senior sees this. 10 without loss. That is 4 innings in which the score has been at 10 after 3 overs. Quite incredible.
What would the odds on that be, I wonder?
Some stato out there is going to have to tweet us in, let us know what the odds are for 4 innings being at 10 after 3 overs. The wickets have been slightly different, mind you, but you can't have everything. So Georgina Dempsey to continue from the Wicklow end.
Yeah, that run rate there just creeping up over 6 and over now required. Good tidy start in terms of the runs on the board. Georgina Dempsey to continue.
Almost another half chance. Well, if the Typhoons are guilty of anything in the first game, it was of letting the game drift, not looking to take wickets. And they're in a similar position, in almost actually the exact same position as they were in that game, apart from the innings being swapped around. They didn't look to take wickets in that innings. I wonder if Lulu Little's been given the leeway by her coach to attack a little bit more, as we saw Gabby Lewis and Leopold do.
Yeah, and would you be suggesting, Izzy, that's from field positionings? We've got, as we said, we've got a good bit of width and space on that leg side. We've got Robin Searle is in at short mid-wicket.
Well, at least they do have those two catchers straight in quite tight, so that's a change from the first game. But just wonder, is there any other way they could be getting a wicket, any field placement? Georgina Dempsey can get movement away from the right-hander, so perhaps a catcher. We haven't seen any catches taken, but we did see Gabby Lewis in more run-saving position when she was in a kind of a fly gully slip.
I think it's almost to put that element of doubt into the batter's mind as well, as you're always conscious of where those fielders are around you, and if you know you've got somebody in a gully or almost a third slip, as Gabby Lewis was in the earlier game today, there's a little bit of doubt when that ball is going past your outside edge.
I suppose that we don't know Bella Armstrong very well, and she is an overseas player, so has good experience, but probably not the experience of Gabby Lewis and Marianne Masonda. They were able to get through a sticky period and kind of counter punch against the Typhoons. We're yet to see if Bella Armstrong has that ability. We know Amy Hunter does. No ball called for overstepping. Georgina Dempsey just gives away a little bit of the pressure. That gives Bella Armstrong an opportunity to get her innings up and running.
Yeah, free hit now following that overstepping of that front line by Georgina Dempsey. So Bella Armstrong has the freedom now to swing the bat and see where it takes her.
She doesn't take the opportunity, and I have to say, I think there was one no ball in the first game here today, and it was hit for 2. Other than that, no runs scored off free hits that I've seen in the competition so far. So either the bowlers are very skillful or the batters are trying to hit the ball far too hard.
Again, it's just getting used to that competitive pressure, isn't it, of these situations.
Lifted into the leg side, fielder there, but she doesn't hit it well enough to reach Georgia Atkinson. So 4 overs gone, and the Dragons moving along at a snail's pace. They're 12 without loss.
I think we spoke about it earlier. It's the nature of this competition, and it's to try and create these pressure situations that you don't get from playing in the nets or even just from practice games. It's really these match positions, these turning points in games that you really need to play under pressure, and under pressure constantly, to really improve and to learn from it.
Yeah, Mick McKinnon used to always say you need to lose one to win one. Well, the Typhoons have mostly lost, unfortunately, in the Super Series, but Lulu Little is looking to affect a wicket. She's brought on Freya Sargent, the off spinner, inside the power play, so just 2 fielders out. Floated up and well fielded by Lulu Little in extra cover.
Yeah, we saw her operate in that position last weekend very effectively when she captained the Typhoons in Rebecca Stokel's absence.
Too much turn.
Interesting bringing Freya Sargent on here in the power play, trying to create a mistake or to force an error from the Dragons batters.
Alice Tector does the fielding. I like it actually as a move, especially against Amy Hunter. Now, Amy Hunter has the ability to go back down the ground over the mid-off and mid-on fielders, but it's basically a carrot's being dangled out to her. A bit flatter from Sargent. Robin Searle does well, apart from the throw.
Yeah, and just looking, no change in the field positionings there for Amy Hunter on strike. So, as you say, tempting her to go over the infield. I'm sure that's what Freya Sargent will be trying to do.
Flatter again. She saw her coming. She was on the move almost before that one was, before Freya Sargent was in her delivery stride.
Yeah, it just allowed Freya Sargent then to check her bowling and bowled it a bit flatter again.
Down the track, high and handsome, over long on, 1 bounce, 2 bounces over the rope. Challenge was set. Amy Hunter up to the task.
Yeah, lovely strike there. Over mid-ons, over Alice Tector there at mid-on. A couple of bounces into the boundary. Used her feet well, got to the pitch of the ball and hit long and hard back over mid-on.
And follows it with a single to close out the 5th. 6 runs from it, and the Dragons are 19 without loss.
Yeah, better over that for the Dragons. 7 coming from it, that boundary. That'll give the Dragons some comfort. They've moved on to 19 of 5 overs, so 1 over left in the power play.
I think as well, Freya Sargent probably got her field wrong there. Has square leg out. Unless she bowls a bad ball, it shouldn't go there. I mean, we've seen it's very difficult to sweep on this track. Mary Waldron is an absolutely excellent sweeper, and it took her a good 10 sweeps or so to actually time one. So I think that the option is for Amy Hunter to go down the ground. Georgina Dempsey will bowl her 3rd now from the Wicklow end.
Played out to Freya Sargent there at point. It's been a solid start, but not been wowed with a load of runs, is he?
No, well, the problem with a solid start is then if you get out, you're really lumping your team into trouble.
That's hit.
Footwork again in the air, but doesn't get any of it, so survives.
Yeah, I thought it was going to hold up there just slightly, but fell in front of mid-on. Looking to go over, you can see what her intention is. She's looking to go straight back over the bowler's head or over mid-on.
Looks like she's decided this is the over, so Georgina Dempsey, options there. It's in the air. Alice Tector underneath it, just sails over her head. They've come back for a second. Great running by Bella Armstrong.
Yeah, it was good running there. She knew. She turned at the wicketkeeper's end and knew she was coming back for that second straight away. Yeah, you can see Amy Hunter's intentions are one way, and that's back over mid-on.
Well, there is a bit of a breeze at this ground, especially at that end, so it looked like that was swirling over the fielder's head, unfortunately. A slower delivery and chopped away over point. That's nicely lifted. It won't go all the way. Rebecca Goff comes around from third. Good running as Amy Hunter comes back for a second.
Yeah, picks up another useful 2 runs there. Yeah, certainly a little bit of a change in momentum here from Amy Hunter in this over. Whether she decided it was time to have a go. And as we said, the problem with those solid starts is often if you do lose a wicket, as you say, Izzy, you're kind of heaping the pressure on your teammates behind you. So trying to get a move on here.
Edge down. Did that carry? Just looking to play it into the offside, and I can't really tell from Mary Waldron's body language behind the stumps there whether that one made it all the way to her. Difficult to tell from this angle.
Yeah, it looked like it might not have carried to her. Certainly, no, it bounced just in front of her.
She's lucky she didn't play that onto her stumps, Amy Hunter. Well, she'll have to bowl that one again. Final delivery of the power play, and it's a wide.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of tiredness creeping in. It's her third over here on the trot in what we've said, warm conditions today, but a little bit wayward with that, so she'll have to bowl that one again.
Yeah, part of it isn't how much time you're out on the pitch, it's how long of a day it is in general, travelling down here, 2 warm-ups. Good finish. Closes out the power play. Dragons, well, they haven't lost a wicket yet. They're on 24 without loss.
Yeah, just a reminder there that the target for the Dragons is 114. So started off at a rate of 4 and over. So run rate required is creeping up towards 6.5 and over. I think they'll be happy enough though that they haven't lost a wicket. I'm joined again by Craig Senior. Welcome back, Craig.
Thank you very much. Well, 24 for naught. It's a steady base that they've set there now.
Did you see the score after 3 overs?
Yes.
We thought you might like that one.
It's a day for it. It's amazing that you have 2 games, 4 innings, and after 3 overs, it's been the same score every time. However, no wickets down here, and that's the important thing. They don't want that run rate required to get too high, but they have wickets in hand, and these 2 are capable of upping the rate.
Yeah, we see the end of the power play now. So we have 2 out on the deep square boundary. So we've 1 deep square leg and 1 at deep mid wicket, and we have a sweeper on the offside. Armstrong just rocks back onto her back foot, cuts it away fine, and that's going to roll away to the boundary for a very useful 4 runs. So Freya Sargent, a little bit of width on that one, allowed Bella Armstrong that space to cut away.
Now, it might just be me and my perception, but I think the sun and the temperature, I think the outfield's got quicker as the day's gone on.
Yeah, I think it certainly has. Weather has helped. That was played towards short fine leg there. Questionable whether there was a single, but the pressure brought the fumble from the fielder and allowed the Dragons to scamper through for another single. So Bella Armstrong moves on to 11 not out. You see a change of field now for Amy Hunter's on strike, and we have that mid-on has come back out onto the boundary. We said in the last over that that's where she wants to hit it. It's flat from Freya Sargent, and it's hit firmly out to deep square.
Sarah Forbes doing the fielding out there.
Yeah, just one coming from that.
But again, I just get the feeling the ball's travelling further and faster across the outfield now.
That's full from Freya Sargent, and it is dispatched to the boundary by Bella Armstrong. A couple of bounces. That's the second boundary of this over. So the Dragons will be delighted with this over so far.
Well, this is the ball that proves everything I said wrong. Quickest way to the boundary is still through the air. And that full toss from Freya Sargent dispatched by Armstrong.
That's hit through mid-wicket. Failed to get their hands on it. Robin Searle will come around, picks it up, restricts them to 2 from it.
A lovely throw in from the boundary, right over the top of the stumps. That's the end of the 7th over. The score has moved on to 36 for no wicket. Bella Armstrong, she's on 17, and Amy Hunter 13. And the run rate required is just a runner ball, well within the reach of the Dragons.
Yeah, that was a very useful over there for the Dragons. I think 11 coming from it. And we're going to see a change of bowling now at the Wicklow end. So Georgina Dempsey has bowled 3 of her 4 allocated overs. Only went for 10 runs from it.
Isn't that the way it has to be? Anything that's 3 overs, there's 10 runs.
Alice Tector coming on from the Wicklow end. She bowled nicely this morning.
She did indeed. She was a large part of that Typhoons attack. She was one of the more economical bowlers, I believe, and she picked up a wicket in that innings as well.
Yeah, I'd say she'd love to pick up a wicket now, as would her teammates. That's cut away fine. Rebecca Goff will come around a 3rd. Another 2 to Amy Hunter. That's nicely played. Found the gap there, a 3rd.
Well, after that tricky start for these two, they seem to be settling down to their task now.
And again, run down to 3rd by Amy Hunter. Content to take the single on this one. Yeah, I know I've said it a couple of times today, but it's that difference that one good over or a couple of boundaries, and you can see the change in the momentum of the game, the ebb and flow of T20 cricket. A couple of overs ago we were lamenting maybe the slow start, whereas now they're starting to accelerate. Run rate has picked up. We're now up at 5.2 and over. And they clawed that run rate required back. It was almost at 6.5 and over, just over 6 per over now. So it just shows the value of 1 over and the difference that it can make.
Yep. Numbers at this level change so quickly because it's only 20 overs.
That's a superb shot. That's very well played by Bella Armstrong. Hit high over the covers, a couple of bounces and away for another boundary. Alice Tector will have to regroup.
Well, you have to say this is close to shot for the day. Just an absolute classic shot, bit of width, and she's slapped it through. Goes again. Doesn't get quite the same contact with this one. It'll just be a single. But certainly there's some intent from these Dragon batsmen now.
Yeah, and it's what we've said in the earlier game as well, that really the space or the areas to score those boundaries are by going high over that infield. So we've seen 2 examples of it there in that over. Bella Armstrong hitting one glorious boundary, went to try to do the same the next delivery, didn't quite get hold of it, but another effective over for the Dragons takes them to 44 without loss after 8 overs. So again, reminder that the target is 114, so 70 required of 12 overs, and still 10 wickets in hand.
Well, those wickets in hand may come in useful later. And you see just those couple of shots in that over, and suddenly the run rate required has dropped below 6. It's so flexible and, well, not flexible, but liable to change with just 1 good over or 1 bad over.
Well, Lulu Little will be hoping it'll be a good over. She's bringing herself on from the Dublin end for her first delivery of the day.
Well, short and wide, and Armstrong certainly, her eyes opened up for that one, but the timing and I'd almost say her stance wasn't quite right when she made contact.
It almost seemed to take her a little bit by surprise as it popped up. But a dot delivery. And again, it's in the air, and that's a simple catch taken by Rebecca Goff at mid-off there. So we could see the intent was again to try and go over that infield. Had a couple of successes in the last couple of overs, but just not coming off that time. And spooned up for a simple catch taken at mid-off by Rebecca Goff. So that's the end of Bella Armstrong for 22. First wicket to fall.
Well, Little coming in. A very familiar run-up. It's just held up in the pitch, and that's meant she's lofted it. And it's a fine catch, and that's the first wicket to fall in this innings. But they have put on a good start. Should be hoping her teammates can now use that start and go on. Cara Murray now coming in at number 3.
Yeah, has been elevated up the order for this game, coming in at number 3. Yeah, very good start here for the Dragons. And Typhoons really needed to take that wicket. It was just starting to creep away from them a little bit. There's been 2 very beneficial overs for the Dragons with a couple of boundaries coming from it. So Typhoons, I'm sure, will be looking to regroup now and use that wicket to spur them on now to try and take the second wicket. You often hear 1 wicket brings 2. That's what they'll be looking to do.
Well, as a famous old commentator used to say, take the score, add 2 wickets to it and see if it's still a good score. Well, in this case, it would be. Now, again, nothing mad is required from the Dragons. They have got that run rate at 6. Anytime it's sort of slipped above, they've done enough just to bring it back down again. They have this under control at the moment. And one feels it's the Typhoons who are going to have to make the running in this if they want to come out on top.
Beaten Cara Murray's outside edge for her first delivery. Welcome to the crease. Yeah, I think this is where we've seen it in some of the other games in this competition so far. They just need to apply themselves. Nothing silly. Needing just over 6 and over. As we said, there are pockets in the outfield where singles can be taken. Let's hit straight back down the ground. Cut off by Rebecca Goff and ably assisted by Freya Sargent there to keep it to a single.
Well, it couldn't have hit that any straighter, one feels. Any straighter it would have hit, crashed into the stumps at the non-striker's end. But this is a good over from Louise Little. Just the 1 run and the 1 wicket from these 4 balls.
But bangs that one in just a little bit shorter and just defended away by Amy Hunter. Yeah, I don't think the Dragons need to do anything drastically different to what they are doing here at the moment. You know, they're 45, 1 wicket down, but we're only in the 9th over. Got to think that there are singles to be had, rotate the strike and wait for the opportunities to put a bad ball away. That's well cut. And that's going to race away to the boundary over there. That's a lovely boundary from Amy Hunter onto her back foot. Slight blemish on a very good Lulu Little opening over.
Yes, but beautifully played. That one just ran away. Louise Little just leaving it slightly outside off. And she cracked Amy Hunter, cracking onto the loose delivery.
Yeah, just sat up nicely for her, and her timing was absolutely spot on. So we move to 49 for 1 after 9 overs. Alice Tector will continue from the Wicklow end for her second over, 8 coming from her first.
And again, you get the feeling that the Typhoons need to take any opportunity that comes their way right now. Otherwise, it's just going to start to become a procession. And that's the last thing they need.
It's a crucial couple of overs, this. A couple of loose overs could take the game away from the Typhoons. A couple of wickets could make all the difference. That's hit straight back over the bowler's head from Cara Murray. That's a lovely shot. Straight back over the bowler's head for a 4, which brings up the 50 for the Dragons, just inside the 10th over.
Well, it just goes to show you that T20 doesn't have to all be big hits in baseball. That was just a lovely cricket shot, just played back over the bowler's head. Well, I don't know where that rope is, but that was a fine shot.
Yeah, and the Typhoons just dropped mid-off now out onto the boundary and brought third up into the ring. Mary Waldron's standing up. It's Alice Tector. Good comeback.
Very good. It was the length there that caused Murray a little bit of difficulty. She couldn't get off the back foot. She goes full again, and it's another dot ball.
Yeah, fuller delivery that time, and Lulu Little cut that ball off there. She's fielding in almost a short extra cover position. I just wonder whether the Typhoons would bring somebody else in on that leg side just to try and create a bit of pressure.
Just the one fielder close on that leg side, but also by being in close, Cow Corner is open over her, and they are encouraging that shot, and they're hoping that shot will be across the line.
Fuller again from Alice Tector. Played down to third, picked up by Rebecca Goff, who threw the ball back to the bowler's end. Saved the single.
Well, this longer, fuller length is certainly working for Alice Tector.
It's been a good over since that boundary. A good comeback from Alice Tector.
Again, just a single up the ground.
Yeah, Fuller again. He took on Ava Canning there at mid-off. Direct hit might have been interesting to see, but came through for the single. But a good comeback from Alice Tector after that opening delivery. Score moves on to 54 for 1 at the halfway stage.
So just 10 overs remaining in this chase now. That target of 114. Well, for the mathematicians out there, they've made it as easy as possible. There's 60 required from 10 overs, or 60 required from 60 balls.
Yeah, Lulu Little will continue. Cara Murray on strike.
Short of a length and outside the off stump, but no contact made by Murray. And it thuds into Waldron's gloves. And a dot ball.
I'd like to see now how the Typhoons will use their bowlers. They've got to try and create mistakes or force mistakes here from the Dragons in this run chase. Is that by, as we say, maybe a change in the field? That's hit up and over. It's going to beat mid-on and mid-off. Freya Sargent comes around and picks it up to restrict them to 2 runs.
Again, a nice shot by Murray, and she's showing where her preferred area is, and it's straight over the bowlers' heads.
Yeah, Typhoons haven't made any adjustments to the field. We saw for Amy Hunter on strike that mid-on was dropping back out to the boundary, but no such change at the moment for Cara Murray.
Another big swing of the bat. Another dot ball for Little and the Typhoons. But yes, I think that the worst thing the Typhoons could do now is wait for a mistake. They've got to try and force it, the word you used.
Off the thigh pad, Mary Waldron comes around, glove off, leg by signalled by umpire Aidan Sievers. Yeah, I think what they can't afford to do here now is more of the same. There's only 1 wicket down. A run a ball is not difficult, you would imagine, with 9 wickets in hand. So they are going to have to try and force those mistakes from the Dragons, or encourage them or entice them into maybe a false shot to try and get that 2nd wicket. Again, we see that mid-on Freya Sargent there just dropping out to the boundary for Amy Hunter on strike.
These 2 bats have both demonstrated that they can play it down the ground, and it's strange that they move the fielder back for 1 and then bring her back up. Kira Murray is the on strike. Well, there's invention from Hunter. Doesn't get as much of it as she wants.
That's going to be a run out here.
Oh.
That's a mistake. That's a costly mistake from the Dragons. There were 2 runs there. Alice Tector did well, came round, picked it up. She's got a great arm on her. Threw it back in, and Cara Murray was stranded halfway down the track. For the simplest of run-outs, Mary Waldron took the bails off. Second wicket to fall at the end of the 11th over.
Well, we said that the Typhoons couldn't wait for a mistake, and yet one came along quite quickly.
Yeah, Cara Murray seemed to turn quickly at that striker's end, and Amy Hunter seemed to send her back fairly quickly with that call, but I think Cara Murray was already too far down the track to make back her ground, and she's left stranded. Run out for just 8 runs from 12 deliveries. She'd had a couple of lovely shots, and they were just starting to go nicely, the pair of them. But that brings Leopold to the crease. Skipper to join Amy Hunter.
Well, 57 for 2 as we come to the end, near the end of the 11th over.
Alice Tector to continue.
Well, she goes from fielding start to bowling.
Yeah, we saw her hit for a boundary off the first ball of her last over, but then she came back really strongly. She'll be looking to do the same here with Amy Hunter on strike. We imagine that that mid-on is going to drop out to the boundary. Georgina Dempsey is positioned on the rope.
Oh, this is going to be costly. 2 more onto the total.
That's well fielded there by Aoife Fisher. She came around, but a wide delivery.
Umpire Willie Clark signalling the wide.
Now we see the left-hand, right-hand combination. It's Leopold at the crease. And just putting a little bit more back on the Typhoons now from the fielding side with that left-hand, right-hand combination. It's going to be really important that they rotate the strike here and that they keep the Typhoons guessing and field placements changing. So we have a deep third, deep fine leg and a deep square leg. Leopold comes down the track and hits it straight back. That's well fielded by the Typhoons, by Georgina Dempsey there, limiting Leopold to just a single off her first delivery of the afternoon.
Very important for the Typhoons now. If they can take another wicket or two in the next over or two, they'll be right back in this game. Well, I have to say, the longer Amy Hunter's innings goes on, the more assured she's looking.
Well, these are two established and experienced batters at the crease. Leopold has scored some runs in the competition so far. She's very, very good all-rounder. And Amy Hunter just going along nicely, 22 off 27 deliveries so far.
Alice Tector remains over the wicket to the left-handed Leopold.
Comes down the track, misses it completely.
I think she was expecting a little more bounce there, and she was looking to just pull anything into the leg side.
What the Dragons won't want is to lose another wicket in quick succession. We've seen the cost of that in today's games already. Again, down the track, but this time straying down the leg side. Alice Tector will have to bowl that one again.
And this is part of the advantage of having a left hand and right hand is you are changing the bowler's line each time they face a different bat.
Down the pitch again, but just played out to Lulu Little. Yeah, I find it really frustrating when I'm trying to captain and set fields, and you have a left hand and a right hand, and you're trying to think, am I bowling around the wicket, over the wicket? And it's just when that little bit of doubt creeps in, it's often where mistakes can occur.
And it's after you've set the field to the left-hander and the right-hander. That's exactly the time that one of your fielders falls asleep and is still walking up and down the boundary when you're saying, no, you should be in the ring, and you have to check every time the bat changes.
I couldn't possibly comment on my teammates, Craig, in Railway. They'd never forgive me.
Well, I can certainly comment on the men's fifths because they're playing at the moment.
Alice Tector to finish out her third over. Leopold down the track again. Mary Waldron comes around to collect. Leg by signalled. It's the end of the 12th over.
Well, that's a good over for the Typhoons. That run rate, again, it changes so easily now with less and less balls remaining. And the run rate required is now up to 6 1/4. With the score on 64 for 2 off 12.
Yeah, 50 required now. With just looking at that worm there, you can see that run rate is starting to creep up.
Well, the Dragons they have some leeway on that. That having said, the Typhoons did bat all the way through their 20 overs, despite the loss of those 2 late wickets. Although the Dragons may be on course at the moment, just 1 over could change everything here.
Yeah, you would think with wickets in hand, 50 to win with just 48 balls, you would imagine it's advantage Dragons, but Lulu Little might have something to say about this in her over. It's her third over of the day.
Leopold doing exactly the right thing, taking a single, rotating the strike, getting Amy Hunter back on strike.
Yeah, we just see that change of field there now with the right-hander on strike. Extra deep cover has come in onto the ring, and Freya Sargent has moved back out onto that deep mid-on boundary. Played over her head. Alice Tector. Alice Walsh, apologies. Coming round just to restrict them to a single. Almost taken off guard by the bounce of the ball.
Well, Amy Hunter showed good cricketing nous there. She saw that there was a fielder at square, deep square leg, and one at third man, and nobody in between, and there was plenty of space there.
That's a misfield there. Will they come back for a second? No.
Well, they thought about it, but Alice Walsh did well in her recovery. Her initial pickup might not have been clean, but the recovery was spot on.
Yeah, not willing to take any chances there, Leopold. But yeah, that's 3 runs off those first 3 deliveries, and that's all that the Dragons need to do, Craig, is just tick along nicely, keep the scoreboard ticking over. That's better from Lulu Little.
Well, they need a lot more of those dots, and they'd love a wicket or 2 here now just to slow that rate down a bit and make this a bit trickier for the Dragons.
That's played up and over cover. There'll be a chase on here for Rebecca Goff. It's not going to reach the boundary. That's Amy Hunter. We see her going up and over that infield. That's where the space is on that offside. Well chased down there by Rebecca Goff. Again, that's another 2 to the total. So 5 coming from this over so far. That's all the Dragons need to do.
Again, Hunter showing her cricketing knowledge, just dropping that one down, taking the single. It was the last ball of the over. She'll retain the strike. The score has moved on to 70 for 2. And we welcome back to the box Isabel.
My goodness, those overs flew by, didn't they?
Certainly did.
It's been breathless. So 44 from 42. Very much in the hands of the Dragons. But we saw earlier a few wickets can change things very quickly. That's what the Scorchers did to wrestle back control from the Typhoons. Can the Typhoons inflict the same pain on the Dragons?
Well, I think we've shown how important the toss has been in these two games. Setting the target seems to be the way to go here in Oak Hill today.
Well, I'm interested in this bowling change. Georgia Atkinson will get her first bowl of the day. Bowl slow leg spin. So they're going to set the field out. Square leg, deep mid wicket, long on. And tempt Amy Hunter. Just 3 fielders out at the moment. I have to wonder if it's perhaps a good idea to send mid off back to the boundary as well. The gap is over the space between long on and deep mid wicket. I think that's where Amy Hunter will send anything that's loose. Can she perform with the bat? Can she perform with the ball? Down leg side, Amy Hunter finds the gap. Alice Tector does great work in the deep. That's excellent from the youngster. Well, she just about dragged that ball in as she dived over the rope. Brilliant from her.
That's the sort of fielding that you see at the professional level. All this fielding close to the rope. And just as it hops up, brilliant work. Absolutely brilliant.
Amy Hunter gives herself room, looks to slap it through the offside and can't get it between extra cover and mid off. So Leah Paul on strike. Bella Armstrong will be turning it into the strength of Leah Paul, which is the sweep shot and playing into the leg side. They're just trying to get their field right here, the Typhoons.
I get the feeling it's not only getting people into the right position, it's getting the right people into the right position at this stage.
Absolutely. You want your quickest fielders on the boundary. So Lulu Little operating in deep mid wicket. She's a specialty boundary fielder for the Irish team, so she's in the right place there. Four is one of the better fielders as well. Everyone else up. Reverse sweep from Leopold, and it goes to cover.
Well, you can see why she took on that shot. If you can pierce the ring there, there's no cover behind.
Well, there's no third man either, so I think she was expecting one maybe outside off. Bottom edge to Alice Walsh in 45. They effected a great run out earlier to get Cara Murray out.
Well, big changes in the field, obviously. Amy Hunter now, the right-hander.
Very slow delivery, and it's going to be adjudged not a wide by umpire Willie Clark. I think it's about where it landed. It did turn away from Amy Hunter, but she had the opportunity to hit it when it bounced. It was quite full. Onto the back foot again. I think she'd get more value coming down the wicket. The pace is so slow. Decent start from Georgia Atkinson. 14 overs done. Dragons 74 for 2. So all of a sudden, the runs to win is a few more than the balls remaining. Amazing how quickly that can happen.
Indeed, it's one good over, and you could see with that over the slowness of the ball. The Typhoons are saying to the Dragons, come and win this game. We're not going to give it to you. We're not going to give you the pace to work with. You are going to have to hit these winning runs. And I think that's quite clever.
It is. You have to. They have to put the pace into the ball for George Atkinson. Ava Canning's going to return now. Decent opening spell, 0 for 7 from her first 2 overs. She's coming back, and really the game could be won by the Typhoons in the next couple of overs if they can get that required run rate up in these few overs. Any over, I always say this, but any over from now that they go at less than 7, the Dragons, is piling on the pressure in the last few overs. So field now, square leg on the boundary, mid-wicket. They're trying to decide whether they'll send her or not. Fine leg is going out. Everyone up on the offside. Just the 2 fielders out. Fine leg and square leg. So they're looking for dot balls. Excellent delivery across the left-hander.
You can see the shot there. Leopold wanted to play. It wasn't there. Well bowled by Canning. But it's good to see that the Typhoon side are really putting it up to the Dragons here. They're not just letting the game drift anymore.
Dances down off the hip into the leg side. Atkinson comes around. She does have a very good throw, so it'll just be the 1.
Oh, you're right there. She has a super throw. That one came flying in from the boundary. Nice level throw.
Well, they had her in the ring actually for most of the first game, which I thought was a mistake because she's one of the best throws on the team. 3 fielders out for the set. Amy Hunter. I think probably they should drop one of the straight fielders out as well, opting to keep them both inside the ring. So 2 fielders out on the leg, cover out as well. Gives herself room, goes straight to Tector at point.
Super piece of fielding.
Well, we were talking earlier on, Craig, about being used to fielding positions. Alice Tector's been in mid-off and mid-on, and I wager she never fields there. She fields there, in point where she is, where she looks so adept, just like all of her brothers.
Must be some competition in the back garden.
Slower delivery, and Mary Waldron doesn't manage to get her hands around the ball. It was a fumble and allows Amy Hunter to get back. That gives her a life on 29.
Well, Canning coming in, and you could see it comes out of the back of the hand, and Waldron just unable to take it cleanly, and it's that slight fumble gave Hunter the chance to get back.
Down the wicket again, takes a quick single. Oh, a 1 straight away off the bat. Just rolling her fingers down the side of the ball there, Ava Canning.
And it's great to have that variation.
Off cutter is a very good one for her because it's the opposite to what she bowls, moving the ball into the right-hander. That one just holds its line or moves away. Got that extra bounce as well. So disappointment for her because a new batter at the crease now would be very handy for the Typhoons. Paul gets hold of it, but not well enough to get it past Little, who throws in extremely well. So an excellent over from Canning, 3 from it, 15 gone, and the Dragons falling behind a little bit. They're 77 for 2.
37 to win, 30 balls remaining, and as you said last over, that gap is just growing. It's not uncomfortable yet, but another over with that sort of differential, and it's going to get more and more difficult for the Dragons to cross the finishing line.
Well, not only are they not scoring the boundaries, they're also not hitting the singles. So when you're batting at this kind of stage, you're looking for a boundary, and if it's not there, you have to get off strike. That's a must. The Typhoons have brought the field in, though. Just 2 fielders out on the leg side for Paul, so she has to get up and over or through the field. Reverse again. Appeal, and I think it's taking the glove.
Well, she's brought that reverse shot out before, and you can see why with the offside field in so tight. If she can push it through, there'll be 2 there, but to do that, you've got to make contact. Well,
I think she's targeting third where there's no fielder, but Atkinson's operating on quite a tight line. I wonder, is she just better stepping across to the offside and trying to beat 45 with a regular sweep shot? Dances down instead, hits it strongly to Ava Canning. That's the wicket. Typhoons are on the march. 3rd wicket for them. Leopold, well, she hit it cleanly, but it was a sharp catch by Ava Canning, and what a bowling change again We've seen it many times today. Georgia Atkinson comes on. Her second over takes the wicket of the captain, Leah Paul, and the Dragons are 77 for 3.
Well, this game is swinging left and right, backwards and forwards, and that's a fine wicket and a needed wicket for the Typhoon side. It's going to put a lot of pressure now on the Dragons. You can see she gave herself room to whip it over and never cleared them. And that's a fine catch by Canning. Well, this game has it another twist in the tail.
So Arlene Kelly comes out at number 5 for the Dragons. Hasn't been too impressive with the bat in this competition, not in the Evoke Super 20 trophy so far, but we did see her hit some bombs in that practice match against Australia just in February, the famous practice match victory over the world champions that Ireland defected before the tournament. She hit some massive sixes in that, so she has it up her sleeve. But it's, it's very specific to each batter whether this is the kind of bowler you're happy to come out and face or it's your absolute nightmare. What would you be feeling, Craig?
I'd be happy. I don't like the ones that zing past my ear. I've never worn a helmet, and so anything quick scares me. But this, I was always good at moving my feet.
Very
Usually
good.
back towards the pavilion, but sometimes whilst actually hitting the ball.
Twinkle toes, Craig. Right. Atkinson against Kelly onto the back foot, and I'm afraid with the packed offside field, it'd be very difficult to get any bang for your buck through there. Needs to just try and get off strike here, Arlene Kelly. Put the pressure onto her senior partner. Dances down, smothers it.
I have to say, bringing on Atkinson was a brave move with somebody bowling at that pace, but it's been exactly what the Typhoon side have needed in putting it up to the Dragons to score their runs.
Dances down, hits it to Dempsey. Well, I think Lulu Little, being a big hitter herself and probably having faced Atkinson in the nets, knows how tough a task it is. This is smart as well from Atkinson. She's spread the field. She knows that she's done her job in this over, and she's willing to let this ball go for one, try and get Kelly to take the strike the next over. But she doesn't manage it. So what an over from Atkinson. What a 2 overs. 1 for 4 for her so far. And the Dragons, they find themselves in a difficult position. They're 16 overs gone and they're 77 for 3.
Well, to put it into old language, it's over 9 and over now, with just the 4 overs remaining. And the last 2 overs have made such a difference to the equation. At one stage, the Dragons were looking very comfortable. They were just looking for a runner ball, and immediately now, after a couple of overs, that's gone up to 1.5 a ball.
Well, I think a wicket maiden, which is what that last one was, will do that to any innings, especially when it's the 16th over. So Ava Canning's whipped off. Lulu Little returns for her final over. Very assured captaincy from Little.
Well, you have to think that Amy Hunter is under a huge amount of pressure now.
Cut into the offside. She's stuck in a difficult position here, Amy Hunter, because she's losing partners, so she won't want to take too many risks, but that required run rate is climbing at a rate of knots. The field at the moment, they've decided to bring in the offside field again, so just 2 fielders out in the leg side. The space is in fine leg. No fielder. And over mid-off. Don't pitch it up to Arlene Kelly. She sends it back over your head. Gets off the mark with a boundary.
That one appeared to be right in the slot for her.
Well, I think they're being too aggressive now, the Typhoons. They've done the hard work, and keeping the field up allows Kelly to do this. Lovely hands through the ball, gets the elevation, gets the power. Field still up. Better length. I wonder if it's not a better idea to just drop long off and long on. They know they have to score boundaries is the thing, so bopping it down to long off and long on is not gonna cut it.
No.
But keeping them up means that they have the opportunity to score a boundary.
I'd almost like to see Little going a bit shorter, and she has the two. Oh,
She gets through. The space was there. The carrot was dangled. 45 was open. Arlene Kelly looked to send it down there, but she missed. And as they always say, you miss, I hit. That's what Lulu Little did. It was one scoring shot for Kelly, 4 from 7 deliveries. Dragons in real trouble now. 82 for 4.
Well, there's just over 3 overs remaining now, and you get the feeling that the Typhoons are starting to tighten the screw.
Just looks to lift this into the leg side, but you need your head in line with the ball if you're going to play that shot. Takes bravery. She got outside the line, and really, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to hit the ball if you do that. Alana Dalzell now. Kelly goes for 4. Alana Dalzell comes in at number 6 with a mountain to climb. 32 from 20. And really, Amy Hunter has to say, give me the strike, and she's got to take this game on.
As I say, the Typhoons turning the screw. It's still only 4 wickets down. There are 6 wickets in hand, but it's about picking up those 32 runs from only 20 balls. They need a few boundaries now. You have to think that it's up to Amy Hunter to hit them.
So changing the field, they're bringing mid-wicket in and dropping fine leg. They could keep both out, of course, but looking to keep Dalzell on strike. She gets it in between point and third, so Amy Hunter will be facing the final ball of the 17th over. Interesting to see whether she just looks to get back on strike as the field is spread, or will she try and score a boundary? Cover, long on, mid-wicket and square leg all on the boundary. So the space is over mid-off or over fine leg. She goes over extra. Absolutely thumping shot to close out the 17th over. So 17 gone. Dragons 87 for 4.
Cracking shot to end the over and to give some more hope to the Dragons. 18 balls remaining, 27 runs, and this is the shot that ended the over.
Just too much width on offer for with the field that she had in place as well. Not the line to be bowling, but I don't think anyone really puts extra cover out in the boundary, do they? So if you're going to bowl there,
yes, you hope not. You don't want to set a field for a bad ball.
so Atkinson will bowl her third. Of course, she's got figures of 1 for 4, including a wicket maiden. How often do you see that in T20 cricket? Wicket maiden from a leg spinner.
And especially in the 16th over, that late into the innings, you'd think somebody was going to maybe charge down the track or anything just to get 1 on the board.
Dalzell plays it into the leg side, but Alice Walsh attacks it nicely.
You get the feeling Atkinson knows exactly what sort of field her bowling requires.
Well, they only have 2 fielders in the deep. They've continued with this attacking field, inviting Dalzell to take it on. Reverse comes out.
Oh,
And that's a great take from Waldron.
given not out by umpire Willie Clark.
Well, if she didn't hit it, it's a lot of turn that Atkinson got.
Well taken by Waldron, whether it was hit or not.
The only other thing is that maybe she hit it into the ground and it bounced up. Dances down, hits it over extra cover. Good effort in extra cover. I'm not sure who that is actually. Lulu Little, I think it was. Saved a boundary though. Chance went down, but it was a certain 4 had she not got a hand to it. Amy Hunter now on strike. 3 out in the leg side and cover. Dances down. And she's really eyeing up that mid-off extra cover area.
But she just can't get it away.
Well, she did the previous over. She had the width and the length, but Atkinson bowling too full for her there. Goes again. Well, no one's going to reel that one in. Had the elevation, had the power, had the class. Amy Hunter catching up. It all lies with her, and she scores a 6.
Oh, what an absolutely super shot this is. Actually not doing an awful lot different. She came back into a crease to give herself the ability to get under that, and then just, to use an expression, pucked it over the sight screen. 6 runs.
She's quite still on impact there, Amy Hunter. Trusted her swing. So she's got to find a way to get out of this over George Atkinson without too much more damage. I don't think she has it in her armoury, though, to bowl the flasher one.
Well, again, by hitting her for 6, you're creating those doubts in her mind as to what she's going to bowl next, and if she tries to bowl a quicker one that she's not used to, you could end up with a wide or another one that bounces short and is put away. So it makes it interesting. 1 ball left in this 18th over.
Well, you're saying, what does she bowl? I think that's just what she bowls. She just bowls slow and then hands it over to the batter and says, what can you do with that?
Yeah.
Pretty effective. Look, it looks to go again. Chance down and over the boundary. Just misjudged by Georgina Dempsey there.
Only just.
Not only did she drop, but unfortunately it went for 4. So Atkinson's final 2 deliveries in her third over go for 10. Hunter's got a win on her mind.
It could be that she's timing this chase perfectly. Well, as soon as she hit it, she knew she was in trouble. And umpire Woody Clark getting the signal exactly right.
There's a future Ireland international in the background.
Ava Canning, she's bowled 3. Of course, it's gone for 10 runs. 3 overs for 10 runs, and she'll be looking to close this out. There's 16 required, 8 and over.
Well, Amy Hunter survived a chance a couple of overs ago, and is that going to be the difference in this match? Really nice slower delivery bowled by Ava Canning. Really difficult for Mary Waldron behind the stumps, but she didn't collect it, so didn't manage to take the bails in time. Will she get a second opportunity? Chance down. Dropped by Alice Tector in point. There's a sharp chance, but I think when she looks back, she'll feel she should have taken it.
Well, also in the game situation, such catches become even more important.
Well, not only do you not get the wicket, but you get Amy Hunter back on strike. So long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square leg, and cover out. Again, the space is over mid-off and extra cover. That's where she'll target. Straight to Tector. She has a chance at the bowler's end. Doesn't get the throw quite right. So they scamper through for a single. Good pick-up, though, and good comeback after dropping a catch.
Fine fielding, if anything there. Canning was just the wrong side of the stumps to collect that. But the single taken.
Dances down in the air again. It flashes over point and third man. Alice Walsh can't reel it in the deep. So a fruitful shot, if not convincing, from Alana Dalzell.
But exactly what her team needed. She's come in at number 6, and that form makes a big difference in the context of the game.
If you're going to flash hard, and that's what Dalzell did. Kicked on, something that we haven't really seen anywhere else on the ground today other than that corner. Very useful little innings, 7 from 6. Dances down, now goes straight. Goes over Rebecca Goff. It'll be 2. So just the 8 runs to win from 8 balls remaining. What a comeback from the Dragons.
The Dragons are doing superbly well here.
She goes again. Sends it out towards Atkinson. They'll look for the second. Amy Hunter in trouble, but she doesn't get the direction right again. And the fielding for the Typhoons is really what's let them down today. Well, that should never have been 2, unfortunately. Just the throws not being directed well enough these last couple of deliveries.
And now runs to win has dropped below balls remaining.
Last ball of the penultimate over. A free hit, really. Short and hit leg side. It'll just be 1. And the Dragons, well, they're right on top with 1 over to go. 109 for 4. 5 runs to win in the final over for the Dragons after being behind the 8 ball with 5 overs to go. They've come back strong.
Well, they've come back very strong, and a lot of this is down to Amy Hunter, but Alana Giselle has come in under a very high pressure situation and has immediately scored 12 off 9 balls. And between the two of them, they've taken the situation of where 9 runs and over were required, and now they only need 5 from the last 6 balls to walk away with the win.
It does show you that if you go for it, sometimes it can come off. Alana Dalzell has just come out and thrown everything at these Typhoons. Yes, she was put down, but she wasn't going to die wondering. She wasn't going to prod around. Decided to try and win this game for her team. She's bowled really well in the first innings. 1 for 14 for her. And now she's come in at the back end with the bat and played a gem of a knock so far. She's on strike. Georgina Dempsey will bowl the final over. Wickets are what they need. Everyone up on the offside. 3 out on the leg side. Fine leg being sent. Oh, sorry. Long on being sent out. No fine leg.
Well, she's going to have to be accurate with her bowling here.
Moves leg side. Hits it into the space behind square. Alice Tector has to do her best to keep it to 2, and she does.
Again, Dempsey just straying down the leg side and just letting them put it into that space.
I think she engineered that, Alana Dalzell. Moved across, she took the risk, and she's taken a good few risks in this innings. And at the back end, if you're going to win games, that's actually what you have to do. You have to take risks. You have to think, what are my strengths, where are the spaces, and back yourself to pull it off. So they're going to change the field. They've got 45 in place now. They've brought in mid-on, they've brought in mid-wicket. Square leg is out. Just the 3 runs to win from 5 balls. So they're telling Alana Dalzell, you've got to keep on daring. Flashes up underneath it. Georgina Dempsey takes the catch this time. And that really makes it interesting now. 3 to win, 4 balls remaining. New batter at the crease. Plenty of pressure, Craig, as Alana Dalzell goes for 14, and the Dragons are 111 for 5.
Well, what a great ending to a day's cricket. We've seen 2 good games of cricket, and this one now very tight. Could go either way, even with just into the last over. Well, she lived by the sword. And thanks to the safe hands of Dempsey, she dies by the sword and has to make her way back to the pavilion. But she's done a great job for her team there. 14 off 11.
Molly Devine comes out strides out at number 7. I'll tell you what, she is a canny little operator. Saw her last year in the Future Series, Interprovincial Series, captained her team, and she's a very smart cricketer. She knows where her singles are, and she will 100% be trying to get off strike and get Amy Hunter to do the hard work. And of course, the new rule is that she must face. A good rule, I think, a good rule change. So Lana Dalzell, while they managed to cross while the ball was in the air, Amy Hunter can't take up a strike. Molly Devine coming in has to face, the new batter has to face the next delivery after a wicket, is the rule.
It's interesting. It's a change, but like you, I think it's an interesting change. Bowlers don't get enough in this game anymore, so to get a new batsman in front of you each time.
So third man and fine leg out. Hits it through. Molly Devine comes in, makes it look easy. They'll run 2. Well, I said she was going to hand over strike. None of that.
Not at
Just
all.
blast it through the field.
It was there to be played out in the offside.
So one run to win. 3 balls remaining. 3 wickets will do the job. Georgina Dempsey, or 3 dots. So Mary Waldron making sure she has the field right. She has to hit it through Molly Devine. Everyone up. Short and through. That's it. The Dragons come away with a brilliant run chase. Is in the Typhoons' hands, but Amy Hunter wrestled them back in. Then Alana Dalzell came in and played a gem of a 14 from 11 deliveries. Molly Devine closed it out with 3 runs from 2 balls, as if pressure is a privilege. Dragons, what a win from them. Typhoons will be left wondering what it is that happened.
Well, it's a tough day for the Typhoons. That's 2 defeats in 2 games. Scorchers and the Dragons recording victories. But this victory here by the Dragons, most impressive. They've chased down a total of 113, and they've done it with 2 balls to spare. Amy Hunter 46 from 44. And Molly Devine coming in the last over and not feeling 1 ounce of pressure. Cracked one through the covers to take 2 and bring the scores level. And then hits the final ball, well, her final ball, the game's final ball, for the winning run. And that's a good win for the Dragons.
Well, dejected, the Typhoons, 2 games today they had and 2 losses they've recorded this morning. The Scorchers were on top throughout, really. Marianne Masonda made them pay for a number of drops, but this game this afternoon, after a slow start, they came back strong with the bat, and they've thrown it away in the back end, dropped a few catches, and that was the difference between the 2 teams. So Scorchers remain on top of the table, 3 wins from 5, and Typhoons and Dragons now 2 each from 4 games each. Typhoons, well, Mary Waldron and Georgia Atkinson came in at the 4th wicket to help their team to something defendable, and it looked like they were going to defend the 113 when there were just 5 overs left in the second innings. That partnership there, 78 between Waldron and Atkinson, doing the damage after a slow start between Louise Little and Robin Searle.
Well, the Dragons stuck at their task, and they never really let the Typhoons get away. 2 for 12 for Kelly, and pick of the bowling figures. But McAvoy 1 for 13, and Zell 1 for 17. Captain Paul took the other wicket full, and extras kept well down. That's a good total. 100 off the bat, 13 extras, and they set a reasonable target.
A good opening partnership. Bella Armstrong looked good for her 22 until she was caught, and Amy Hunter She played a really mature knock right there at the end. Struggled a little bit through the middle overs, but caught up well. And that little cameo from Alana Dalzell, 14 from 11, the difference between the two teams.
Well, there you see the opening partnership again, nice and strong, 44 there. But it was Hunter and Dalzell, because not only did they put on 29, they did so quickly. And that was Hunter scoring 15 from 5 balls and Dalzell 14 off 11. That's a fine partnership, and that's the one that brought the Dragons right back into this game.
Typhoons bowlers were good, but not quite good enough. 2 wickets for Louise Little, 1 each for Atkinson and Dempsey. Canning was good, but wicketless as chances went down. That's the story of the day. It was nip and tuck. Each team looked on top at different times. Atkinson impressive with the bat, 43 from 30, and Waldron with the mainstay for the Typhoons. But it was Hunter who came back at the end, along with Dalzell, who wrestled back control, and the Dragons won by 5 wickets. So join us tomorrow for more IP50 action. We'll be in Stormont for live action at 10:45. We'll see you then. Until then, thank you for watching, and from us, good evening and good night.